My search led me to the study of the spiritual forces with which all of us are blessed. And it was in this field that I came upon a clue which has enabled me to help millions of people to find their earthly destinies. I want to describe my discovery in the simplest terms possible, because it will reveal to you why it is true that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve, regardless of how many times you may have failed in the past or how lofty your aims and hopes may be.
You really want me on the team. What's your approach to recruitment?
You want first place, come play with me. You want second place, go somewhere else. Like, I would watch Magic play. I'd watch Michael play. And I would see them do these unbelievable things, and I'd say, you know, can I get to that level? I don't know, but let's find out.
I recently read Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. Robbins says, most people jump on the river of life without ever deciding where they want to end up. They get caught up in the current events, current fears, current challenges. And when they come to a fork in the river, they don't consciously decide where they want to go, or which is the right direction for them. They merely go with the flow.
Today we're talking about 9 money lessons that I learned from the book Richest Man in Babylon. This is part of a new series of videos on the channel where we'll be breaking down my favorite lessons from my favorite money books. In this video, we're breaking down the book into 3 parts. So we're going to go into spending money, making money, and protecting money. Let's start with spending money.
One way to think about it is just kind of basic math. Like if you just look at the numbers, if you were able to improve by 1% each day for an entire year, and those gains compound, you would end up 37 times better at the end of the year. And if you were to get 1% worse, you would whittle yourself almost all the way down to 0.
People are saying, you're crazy. You're a cancer patient. You should be resting. Doctors told me this. When I had the second heart attack, the doctor said I should prepare for death.
Heart disease is an absolutely toothless paper tiger that need never ever exist.
People who were raised in Japan, the Philippines, Korea, China, never had heart disease, prostate cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis.
This is the Atlas of Cancer Mortality.
Only Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I ate a lot of meat. They showed us commercials.
Steak. That's what a man eats.
Selling that idea that real men eat meat.
Serious man food.
But you got to understand, that's marketing. That's not based on reality.
I've been teaching fighting techniques to government agencies for more than 15 years. Then, I got injured. Unable to teach for at least 6 months, I spent more than 1,000 hours studying science on recovery and nutrition, and stumbled across a study about the Roman gladiators.
The gladiators were predominantly vegetarian.
How could the original professional fighters be so powerful, eating only plants?
When I made the switch to a plant-based diet, I qualified for my 3rd Olympic team. I broke 2 American records. I was like, man, I should have done this a long while ago.
When I went plant-based, I wasn't sure if I was going to survive. And I actually became like a machine.
One of the biggest misconceptions in sports nutrition is that we have to have animal protein to perform at a high level. Is that income really has no practical value without time. Here are a few simple steps you can take to escape the rat race entirely, not just win it. One of the first steps is the process of elimination. So to start, you need to consider something called Pareto's Law, more commonly known as the 80-20 principle. Because in order to work less, not have everything fall apart, you'll have to quantify the 20% of activities that are producing 80% of your desired outcomes.
So this is a good question, and I see where this guy's coming from for sure. And I know that it can be very, very frustrating to try and become disciplined. And I apologize that I haven't talked about the fact of what to do if you come from an undisciplined family or you have undisciplined parents. I haven't really talked about what to do in that situation, but there's a reason that I haven't talked about that before, and that is because you don't get discipline from your parents. You don't get discipline from your parents, from your grandparents, from your older brothers and sisters. You don't get discipline from an external source. You have to get it from you.
If you wanted to learn a new language, or how to draw, or perhaps even an entire university degree on your own, how would you go about doing it? For about a decade, I've been following the blog of a writer called Scott Young, who talks a lot about these topics. Scott is probably most famous for his project to learn the entire 4-year MIT computer science course by himself in under a year, but he's also done projects where he's taught himself to draw in a month.
The margin for error is so small, I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second.
Don't be afraid to fail. You can't always win, but don't be afraid of making decisions.
You have to believe that something different can happen. He who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right.
That most of you say you want to be successful, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it badder than you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us.
Dig deep down, and ask yourselves, who do you want to be? Figuring out for yourselves what makes you happy, no matter how crazy it may sound to the people.
Everybody works on a commission. My secretary, the president of our company, the president of the United States, the truck driver, anybody works on a commission. Even if they have a salary, they're on a commission, because the salary is dependent upon productivity. And if they do not produce, then it's just a question of time before the job itself is gone. And ladies and gentlemen, that's a fact. Why, you can even get to be the president of the United States, and if you don't produce like you ought to, they'll get you. George Washington, probably one of the greatest salesmen who ever lived, and I want to tell you what his sales job was. He literally had to sell the farmers and the merchants and the backwoodsmen and the seamen on leaving what they were doing, coming and joining the Army or the Navy, going to war against the most powerful nation on the face of this earth, the biggest Navy and the strongest Army, and he had to sell them along the idea, let's go fight those people. But let me tell you in advance, now if we win, I'm not going to be able to pay you. And if we lose, they're going to string you to the highest tree.
Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is one of the most effective books in the world about human relations. If you want to improve your social IQ, be more influential, and improve your leadership skills, then this book must be your Bible. Even though the book was written 84 years ago, it is still applicable today, and because of that, it is one of the highest sold books in the world. In this video, I will summarize the entire book. After watching the video, you can say that you have read this book because it covers every single chapter and every bit of important information. Part 1.
The secrets inside and how to use them. The greatest collection of psychological tactics to make everything go your way. If you wanted to make life easy, what would be on your wish list? Maybe. In every area of life, you know how to avoid ever being taken advantage of or manipulated. Are able to end verbal conflicts with a single phrase, understand how to lead, influence, and motivate anyone to your way of thinking, and are able to become anything to anyone by winning friends and changing instantly how others see you. In short, you'd have a life made easy. You're about to learn how to use the greatest psychological techniques for success in every area of your life. Section 1.
If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Sun Tzu. War is part of life. It's in the nature of most living organisms to engage in battle, defeat opponents, and to dominate. With humans, we see this happen in war, in business, on the soccer field, in video games, in a nightclub, and even on YouTube. And chances are that when we're not engaging in a battle with our environment, we're waging war against ourselves. The Art of War by Sun Tzu is an ancient Chinese military text, composed of 13 chapters that are devoted to the strategic and tactical aspects of warfare. The Art of War explains in detail how we must behave in battle and, more importantly, how to win.
War is something that's part of human nature. There's no such thing as a group of people who don't want power. So that's why you need to read the book. In case you don't know, this is the 48 Laws of Power, a book that I wrote in 1998, and it's about to have its 25th anniversary this coming year. Why should you read this book? Well, if you don't want a life full of pain and misery, you want to read this book. The reason is, power is this kind of weird game that goes on in the world. It has its own rules, its own conventions, its own laws, but nobody talks about them. Nobody writes about them. And you're kind of thrown out into the world when you're 23 years old, and suddenly or 22, and suddenly you discover that you're doing all of the wrong things, and that you're talking too much, you're trying too hard to make people insecure, you're being too naive, you're too in people's faces, you're trusting people too much, on and on. You make all of these mistakes, and it's painful. It costs you years of emotional trauma. You get fired, you don't know why you got fired. You get in a fight with a colleague, you don't know why, and it's bitter. You hire a terrible business partner who ends up stealing your company. On and on and on and on and on. These things are real. They are not imagined. They're not something in a television show. It is something going on every single day in every office in America and in the world, right? But nobody tells you how to navigate this thing. This book is there. It's like a straight shot of whiskey. I'm not covering things up. I'm not bullshitting with you. I'm not trying to soft pedal them and make everything look nice and pleasant. I'm giving you the world straight as it is.
Was on a podcast a few months ago, the My First Million podcast with Sam and Sean, great guys. And we were talking about my book, $100 Million Offers, which you can get on Amazon Kindle for 99 cents if you don't have the dollars for a hardback. And I heard on a later podcast that I wasn't on that Sean was saying, yeah, I really love the book, but it's just a bummer it doesn't apply to e-commerce. And I disagree. And that is why I'm making this video, to break down why the value equation and the things inside of the $100 Million Offers book, which pretty much this visual right here encapsulates or summarizes the vast majority of the pieces in the book. And obviously there's a lot more examples and stories, and it has a lot of 5-star reviews on Amazon, so check it out for 99 cents if you want. But the main point is that these are variables that create purchasing decisions that get people to value something in order to buy it, because they value it in excess of price tag. And the idea here is, if we understand the things that drive value, then we can understand the things that underpin price, which then lead to profit.
Everybody, I wanted to say that a new book is coming, the follow-up to Jab, 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 Right Hook, originally called Jab, 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 Left Hook, but I finally captured what I've been doing for the last 20 years as an entrepreneur, as a creator and influencer, as an operator of a marketing company that works with Fortune 5,000, 500 companies, and really the punchline of what I'm seeing in society, which is day trading attention, how to actually build brand and sales in the new social media world. I'm really proud of this book. When I read it, and some of you follow my social enough to see the clips, when I read it in studio, it got so deep, it goes so detailed, it goes macro and micro.
That a lot of people like to complain, but they don't want to do anything about their situation. And most people don't work on their dreams. Why? One is because of fear. The fear of failure. What if things don't work out? And the fear of success. What if they do and I can't handle it? These are not risk takers.
You spend so much time with other people. You spend so much time trying to get people to like you. You know other people more than you know yourself. You studied them. You know about them. You want to hang out like them. You want to be just like them. And you know what? You've invested so much time in them, you don't know who you are. I challenge you to spend time by yourself.
It's necessary that you get the losers out of your life if you want to live your dream. But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning.
When you become the right person, what you do is you start separating yourself from other people. You begin to have a certain uniqueness. As long as you're following other people, as long as you're being a copycat, you will never ever be the best copycat in the world. But you will be the best you could be. I'm telling you to define your value.